Hi, Casey. This is Mike coming to you from the Monroe County Courthouse live on Community Access Television Services.
I trumped Linda Brady on that one.
Yeah. You think Kansas look good? I don't think it's okay. Marcus is much more. Oh, yeah. Well, I think the whole panel is. Good, good. It's one please. To be honest,
Oh, you were not sufficiently good looking to do that. I apologize. I'm not sure where our speaker is. And he's hopefully he's just finding a parking place. But hey, you're part of the, yeah. No, she's teaching today. Yeah.
Yes.
That's good, get shot. Man, right up. You might be having to think about.
Well, I think it's. Yes, yeah. I should.
And I'm looking. Yeah, or I might, yes, yes.
Yes.
We also said people. I've been writing.
Yeah.
Probably. And I can't stick out everything.
It's picking it up now, Peter. they're taking it stepwise so that it can be done correctly, which I think is really important, especially when we talk about having peers that are there to support. And these will be certified peers that go along with this. I've heard Mr. Whitaker speak before, and to me, he is really the heart and soul of this program. He's sort of like not only the spark, but the fuel and the oxygen that allows it to really burn and to expand. What I hope to do today is, I know he's got a slideshow he wants to show, but we also wanted to make this as interactive as possible so that you all can get your questions answered. When you do speak, because we're recording this, I would ask that you'd come up to the podium so that gets recorded. And also the acoustics in this room are less than optimal, we'll say, making it very difficult at times to hear what people are saying. Yes, Dina, did you have? Okay. So if there are things that you felt like I could answer right now, I'm happy to, but it's really, like I said, it's Mr. Whitaker. We are going to be holding 3 different meetings. This group, as I said, is one of the groups. We're going to be talking with people who are involved with some of the treatment aspects tomorrow, and this afternoon, some of the folks involved with the courts, because they have to also be part of this in terms of what goes on with different things. So you're welcome to come to any and all 3 meetings. They are being recorded by CATS so that they can be watched later. And there are a few people that couldn't get here, so that information will be available to the general community about what we're trying to do as well. Isabel, you look like you might have questions. Yeah, we're doing one this afternoon at 3:30. For, like I said, more of the folks involved in probation and those kinds of things. And then tomorrow, we invited folks from Amethyst House and Centerstone and people like that, because there is a slightly different focus, and we need multiple components within the community to really, really make this work. Yeah, Randy. At 2:00. It's here also. Yeah. Mr. Iverson.
Yeah, the captain's not getting the questions, so I can hear them.
I will repeat them. I want to know what time tomorrow. Yes, thank you. As we said, this acoustics in here are not the best. Yeah. And since we do have representatives of the sheriff's office here, if you have anything to share also about your impression, please come up to the mic and share those, whether or not you think this is a benefit to our community and what you think it might be able to help us do. But it's my impression that they've seen a drop in recidivism very quickly. Yeah.
I'll talk slow anyway. So.
No, he doesn't.
Kyle will handle most of the talking about how the program is going to actually be integrated into our facility. But I'll tell you this, we were first introduced to this at the Indiana Sheriff's Association, where we actually met with Jamie. And I know Penny actually brought this program to our attention, and we followed up on it at the ISA conference. And when we talked to Mr. Whitaker there, it's like any other program. You wonder how it's going to fit with what you're trying to accomplish. And our facility, as we all know, has a lot of challenges in terms of space and access and how we make all those things happen at our facility. So we were real apprehensive about that, to be honest with you. So we talked to him, and he reassured us that there are workarounds for all of the issues that we were facing. And so we invited him down, and we had our assessment at our facility probably, I don't know, maybe a little over a month ago. And while it's not the perfect setting, nothing is. The sheriff is adopted the philosophy of basically we got to kind of adapt and overcome. We can't let those obstacles stand in the way of what we're trying to accomplish. So we were able to speak with Jamie, have that assessment, and we're very confident that we can actually take the portions of our facility that may be adaptable and just make some changes. Although it may be, moving and be temporary in nature here one day and here another day, simply based on the space that we have. But we as an agency are committed to that. And I think I don't see obstacles from our on-site assessment standing in the way of this program, because when Kyle talks about how the whole thing fits together, I think it's going to be really, really beneficial for not only our facility as a whole, but for our inmate population, but also our staff. Because a lot of these issues that we're facing in there takes a lot of time dedicated to staff that, don't really fall into the parameters of being a corrections officer, but because they're in our facility, we just have to deal with that. And it brings trained people into our facility to help us recognize and deal with that when it comes our way. So I truly think that the upside of this, we always hope that it's going to help our residents, but I think the really unexpected aspect of this, I think it's really going to be a big help to our staff too. So I'll step in.
And this is Kyle Gibbons, our jail commander. So
yeah, hi, Kyle Gibbons, jail commander. I've met most of you. I think the best way for us to explain it is this: Sheriff Ruben Marte is about making a difference, and even if it's difficult, we've been tasked with finding a way to make it happen. When Chief Deputy Parker talked about we had some reservations of a new program coming, it was because we have 11 currently. We have a lot of programs available in this community, which has been a great benefit. So anytime you bring something in with very little room, sometimes you have to take something out. And that's what one of our main concern was with the amount of people in the community that want to help. And we want to strengthen that relationship whenever possible. So part of the issue is, we have space limitations. The building is what it is. We've had extensive conversations about how that impacts us, each of us sitting in this room. But when it comes to this IRAX program, me personally, I know that I was brought here to find answers, not have questions. And this IRAX program gives us a lot of answers that we were looking for. It offers some of the positions that we were looking to incorporate in our department, brings with the program. It physically brings people into the facility to help us with that transition. This is an opportunity for the sheriff's office and the commissioner's office and everybody in this room to really make a real impact on what we are putting our inmates into. What are we releasing them into the community as? This is some follow-up in that release. This is us following through with action based on our words. And anytime that we can do that is definitely a positive. Mr. Whitaker, when he gets here, you'll find out he's an extremely genuine person. Like I said, I personally had some reservations heading into this program, but he quelled all of that. He made me very comfortable with the potential that this program can bring to our inmate population, but also, like Chief Deputy Parker said, what it can do for our employees that work here. So if you have any questions before he gets here, I can answer them from a facility aspect. With the program does come some monetary funds that'll help us transition some of that program into what we're looking at now is the indoor recreation room. It is our biggest space that we don't have to continuously use day to day. So if we can build or partition part of that, because we still have to use some of it in the event of an emergency, we've got to take all the inmates out and put them into place, identify who they are, and move them out of the facility. We cannot lose the whole thing, but we can make that into that area that he'll speak about. So do you guys have any questions regarding the facility or where we're trying to go with it?
I think too, you have come to the commissioners meetings at times and talked about the numbers in terms of categories of people that are currently in the jail. And at times it seems like about at least 20% of those individuals that are in the Monroe County Jail have an identified mental illness. And so when we also look at the people who have a substance use disorder and or that mental health challenge, it's a significant portion of the individuals in our jail.
Well, and we're transitioning, the world is transitioning from a confinement facility into a treatment facility. And there's good and bad with that. I mean, you have to ensure that that facility, that confinement facility is still a safe facility. So you have to have protocols in place and you have to enforce those things. But while you're doing that, if given the opportunity, I know that Chief Deputy Parker, myself, and Sheriff Marte are very much in favor of rehabilitating, putting people in a position to be successful. We are big on the fact that we see somebody in the jail today, I can see them walking through Walmart tomorrow. And we want to ensure that when these people are out here, they're just as set up to be as successful as we are, regardless of position. So that this will definitely help facilitate that, especially with the follow-up.
So basically, as soon as someone is brought into the facility, an assessment of some sort is done, and then they start to meet with a peer coach basically the next day, is my understanding, or very quickly. And then upon release, they are assigned somebody different who will then work with them in the community, connect them with resources, and follow with them. They'll be almost like a mentor.
Yeah, this program has an impact on every single aspect of local government here. It is something, and this is why we have multiple meetings. This is why we had Mr. Whitaker come in and ensure that we can even make this happen on our level. He's going to do that with the courts. He's going to do that with probation. He's going to meet with different offices. This is something that's going to take all of us. And that's why we're sitting here. This is not just a jail thing. It's not just an inmate thing. This is a community thing. And if we all can't make it happen, then it's not going to work. So the good thing is this is a good community. I'm new to it, but it's awesome. In fact, sometimes we have too much help, which can never actually be a bad thing, but you can just tell that people care. It's one thing when you're in a situation where you're trying to figure things out and you're like, oh man, I really just don't know what we're going to do next. We never have to worry about that. We know that we have places that we can reach out, resources that we look into that can help us through that, which is incredible, especially for a large community. So.
Right. So does anybody have questions of Commander Gibbons or Chief Deputy Parker that they could address while we wait for Mr. Whitaker?
I have a question.
Oh. Well, Phil's right behind you. Go ahead.
When is Jamie Whitaker going to be here?
He knew it was scheduled for noon. I mean, he gave me these days to work from. So
have you talked to him yet? Today?
I tried calling, and yeah.
He's a very busy man. And in fact, to be fair, he is not typically ever late to anything that I've seen him at. He speaks well. He carries himself well. He spoke at the ISA conference. He's got the support of multiple communities in this state. So I don't typically speak up for people who are late to things, but he's one of those people that I would. Mr. Iverson, do you have any questions?
Sure. I'm not sure that any of us have answers, but please, and then we'll try to remember to
anything that we've spoke about, at least.
Was funding to build a partition, and I will cover the cost. Did I get that correctly?
Yes. I believe it's 30,000.
Yes.
It's $30,000 that it comes right off the top, and it allows us to build whatever we need. If it costs us $20,000 to build this partition, to section off this area, then we still have that $10,000 to use for whatever we need for the facility itself. Not that I have seen. However, we're still in the formative process of this whole thing. Right now, we just went through just to see if the jail itself is physically capable of handling this program. As far as I knew, that today was going to be a conversation about how we all come together, and then it's still going to be going through those processes. So I have not, there's no quote, but I've been assured that this is not something that Monroe County monetarily will be responsible for. It comes with the program, the grant.
Yes, Councilmember Iverson.
Would there be operational costs associated with IRACs in Monroe County, either while we're in the current facility or as we transition into a new facility?
That was a question we raised, one of the first questions, actually. And we were told this program brings people in. And Mr. Whitaker went as far as to say that this was going to alleviate some of those responsibilities that we currently have on our staff. It's going to open up our mental health social workers and put them in a position to actually start engaging in rehabilitative conversation. From anything that I've gathered so far, it's going to help us do our job better and more efficiently. I've not been, I've not seen anything that's going to cost us time or money.
The programming itself is both some group meetings and individual meetings as well, as the peers work with people, is my understanding.
Yes, and to go directly to your question, the individuals that are brought in as peer counselors, that's all funded through the grant through the IREX program. So as far as we can see, there are no personnel costs. I mean, obviously, as this thing evolves, the staff involvement, will fluctuate, and there'll be but it's the cost of that employee being there anyway. So then this $30,000 that Jamie told us about was designed to right out of the gate, if you have some startup costs, to help cover those startup costs. So from everything that we've talked about and had discussions about, we don't see any additional cost to the county as a result. And when I talked to Tony Skinner, he was pretty much confirmed that. And I just wanted to elaborate on a point that Commissioner Githens made about our inmate population, and she was spot on about fluctuates around 17 to 22% of the inmates in our facility have what our mental health professionals designate as a severe mental health crisis or issue. So that's not just someone who's at a mid-level of some type of mental health issue. These are folks that are really, really, really suffering, and it's very, very difficult for laypersons such as ourselves. Although we have experience in it, it's so different all of the time. You never know exactly how you need to approach that. So I really think that this is going to be helpful. We'll have professionals who are professionally trained and understand that and can look at that and kind of assess it a little better than we at our level can. But the other part that Commissioner Githens brought up is the substance abuse issue. And our mental health folks estimate that anywhere between 80 to 90% of the individuals in our jail suffer from some type of substance abuse issue. And that's a shockingly high percentage. So now let's think about bringing these peer counselors in, and now we're not just talking about issues of confinement and adherence to rules and cleanliness and all of those things that we expect out of the inmates. They have people that have been through that process, that understand what it is to go from A to Z in that journey, and they're able to help walk them through it. And they're able to spend the time to do that. We just can't do that. We just can't do it. We're busy running the facility, making sure it's operational, making sure that it's safe, making sure that it's secure. So that's just an additional thing that is kind of left in the gap, if you will. And then the reentry part of that is if these individuals, while they're there, were able to address that, assess that, assist with that, understand it, all of those things. I don't think that it can help but help them prepare for when they go to reentry. But it doesn't stop there with what I understand about the IREX program. It continues that after they're out of the facility, additional services, and there's someone helping them track and helping them find those services. So you have that kind of warm handoff that we talk about all the time. So it isn't just about coming into the jail and leaving the jail. It's about coming in, assessing what this person's issues are, addressing them while they're there, and then giving a warm handoff and helping them as they try to transition back into normal life outside of the facility. Because you got to understand, some of these folks, being in a facility is the normal for them. When they get out, they're kind of lost. I mean, remember watching the old movie, The Shawshank Redemption, when the guy got out of jail, he didn't even know how to cope. He was just, someone said they want to come back sometimes because that's what's normal for them. So hopefully we'll turn that around and we make them understand it's not as scary as you think. There's people there to help you. There's people there to assist you. And we make that transition and we make that life outside of the facility normal, as opposed to being in that facility and trapped in that environment that they just can't escape from without someone giving them a nice little tug. So I hope that's what this IREC program will help us achieve, if that makes sense to anybody. So.
This program puts us in a position, as well as the community, to treat the person, not just the crime. We do an exceptional job here, I think, especially with the judges, pretrial services, and treating the crime. But if we continue to look past the people, we lose sight of what we're actually doing here. And if it's clear, the amount of people sitting in this room, that we care about the people too. So this is something that puts us in that position to really make real change that we talk about.
Randy.
You may not be able to answer this question easily, but is this a typical 80-20 rule where you're talking about 20% of people have serious mental health concerns? Are they taking up 80% of your time?
Sometimes. And just like Chief Deputy said, no one situation is the same. Everybody's different. Everybody has different factors they're dealing with, different things they're dealing with outside that's impacting them inside. Everybody has a different childhood. I mean, there's so much that goes into, we can write policies and we can run a facility and we can have expectations. But if we don't have people in a position to actually empathize with people and find out where they're going, then we're going to be lost. And sometimes that is what takes up our time. And sometimes that is why we look for resources such as this.
There's one particular situation that, I think maybe brings some, I don't know, scale to that question. It's probably been about 3 months ago. And again, I want to thank the judges and particularly the prosecutor in this case. But we had one individual in our facility that this person had such issues and was so far into this mental health crisis that it wore out every member of our staff every day. One person just dealing with it was constant. It never stopped. So there was there was at least one member of the staff dealing with this person 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it got to the point that we're just trying to rotate so they could handle this person. Now, luckily, we're able to get this person sent to a facility where they're receiving the treatment they need. But to your point, it can get to that level. It truly can. And I can describe some of the behaviors, but that's probably not appropriate for this setting. But I can just tell you, this is my third facility I've been involved in, and that individual is probably one of the more taxing situations that I've seen. So it affected the entire facility for several weeks until we were able to get this person placed. Anything else? Yes, sir.
I did get a text too that people can't hear the questions online, so we do need to repeat the questions. Sorry,
Okay, we gotta
Christopher.
repeat the questions. Okay,
Well, this is covered.
go ahead.
Parker. I've seen some presentations from Sheriff Mark, and you have a lot of programs already. It's like on 11 sort of brought in some other that they do. Do some of these programs integrate with what the IRAX is? I mean, that you can kind of or duplicate or complement some of what you're already doing. You're already doing quite a bit.
The question was if IRAX will work with other programs essentially that we have in place. That was a question we had. Sheriff Skinner has one program, and it's IRAX. He took all the other ones away, and that's what works for him. Conversations with the chief deputy and the sheriff, we looked at, which course of action are we going to take? How are we going to move? And we have not decided that completely yet. But Mr. Whitaker has said that if utilized, it should not prohibit us from having other programs. The space wise, currently just for information, currently we have a program room that we run all different programs throughout the day. GED, ServSafe, NA, AA, just the gauntlet. And during the day, we only have a certain amount of hours that room can be utilized, because that is the only room that we have in the facility that can house inmates outside of their confinement area. And in that room, I think that outside of Tray Pass or courts or church services or attorney visitation, we have like 6 hours. So in that day, if the program takes 3 hours, well, that's one program taking 3. Now we have 3 hours left, essentially. We will still be able to utilize that space while running the IRAX program. Now, whether or not, if we've got U4 in these programs and U4 decide I'm going to stay in AA. Okay. You don't have to, it's not required. If you want to run through IRAX and you decide to do both, then okay. As far as coordination, I've not been told how that will work. I just know that IRAX is a systematic follow through. It literally charts the trajectory of that inmate throughout their stay in our facility. And it's meant to facilitate the entry, during, and the exit, and follow up to ensure that the exit is safe for them as well. So as far as if I remember recalling it correctly, these peer counselors will physically go to their homes and talk to them and help them and ensure that they're going to these outside services so that they're remaining, so that they're not violating terms of their probation, for instance, so that they're making it to classes. So as far as I know, what I've gathered, there should not be an issue with other programs. And now we all sit in silence.
Yeah, Commander Gibbons and I were talking. Mr. Whitaker actually has data that shows things that we just can't replicate because we don't have it here to show you. And so that's part of what we also needed to see is the kinds of the numbers that they can work with, the success that they've seen so far. And for me, for years now, I've been on the Substance Use Disorder Awareness Commission and the Opioid Commission before that, and had interactions with people who are in recovery. And they say that the people that they trust most are people who have the same lived experience, sort of thing. And so part of what IRAX is hoping to do is this same kind of approach, that it's people with lived experience, and that's who in the other locations, at least, that's what gives it part of the success, is because those are trusted individuals. It's like, I will trust a nurse to do certain things, but not the dog walker to do certain things, kind of thing. You know, it's people with those experiences that is what they're really building on.
I think that the success with the IRAX program that I'm really looking forward to is the amount of work they put into an individual. They do group sessions, they do individual sessions. There's work sessions. There's instructional sessions. They do some of the legwork to ensure they have a license when they get out. Their peers are out here ensuring that, you know, Qdoba is going to still hire them when they get out on the 26th. They're out here ensuring things are done. Whereas before, depending on who the inmate is, it's really up to them to take the onus to really put people in position to do that for them. And sometimes when you're lost in the facility and you're just trying to get through and do your time, you forget to plan for when you're out. You get lost in just surviving it. And it is, as it stands all over this country, including Monroe County, it's not easy. It's a dark time, and putting people in a position to help facilitate that process can be nothing but positives from that.
There's data that suggests too that if you have transportation, a job, and housing within 72 hours of release, your chances of not interacting again with the carceral system is greatly improved. So again, Randy, you have another question.
I do, yeah. It talks about pilot program. It talks about the conclusion of the pilot program. How long is the pilot program? You know?
The first 5 were counties that were selected. That was part of the pilot program. Then I think that they started an additional 3 in July, I believe. And I know Marion County is one of the new ones, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if you have more information on that, but we are looking to be sort of this next group that would probably be just a few extra counties. So we would still be a leader in essence in getting this going.
For all intents and purposes, we asked the same question. We asked what next? What after this pilot thing? And he made it sound like the governor is on really loving the program. There is great feedback from the community. He made it sound like if you get in and you're part of the programs, they will continue that program. So that is the positive of that. And now, the later that we take of getting on, we may miss that as part of the issue.
And there, I think also too, from a fiscal standpoint, and I hope that Counselor Wilson, Counselor Iverson don't get angry with me, but if we see less recidivism, we have lower costs in our jail. I mean, every week I see the claims that come through that we have to sign off on. Food, bedding, clothing, it's weekly. And so if we can reduce the jail population by just a few even, it makes a difference. And we have people then back in our communities working, again, providing taxes to our community. So I think it makes a difference as well. We could, if we had to, we could start to fund some of it through the savings that we would see.
I think it's easy to get lost in the fact that we're in the jail every day. We're in the sheriff's office every day. We're dealing with that aspect of our lives every day. But I think at the end of the day, what's the grand scheme? What are we all looking at? Is living and raising our children in a safe community. And anytime you can make any kind of movement that can benefit that, I think that's extremely positive. I think that cost analysis, I think that everything that goes into running the things that we get lost in on a day-to-day, we get lost in that a little bit. And it's easy to, especially when you're on our side. But with Sheriff Marte, he brought us in here specifically to look past that, to look at the people. And that's what we've done since day one. The commissioners have got on, and the counselors and the judges, and you can already see it trickle into the community that, like, hey, these people care. And because they care, I care again too. And if we all care, then we're really setting ourselves up to be successful for our future, our children's future. I don't currently live in Monroe County. I will this time next year, but my son will go to school here. And it's very important. I'm taking him from a very safe community where there is no real issues aside from drugs, but that's a lot of places. But, you know, violence and the things that you guys have been dealing with down here for quite a while, and the things that I see coming in and out of jail, that's concerning. And if I'm not making that change for my child, then how can I care about yours or anybody's? So I think that this is a strong step in that direction for everybody, for this community as a whole. And because the jail, the sheriff's office is just a part of it.
I don't know if Mr. Whitaker is going to actually make it, but if what I would like to do is gather additional questions that people might have. Like I said, we will be looking for some community funding. We have to, as part of this, we have to show our commitment. It's not going to be millions, but it certainly could be several $100,000 to make this work, to get it off the ground. And so we're going to need those from different community partners to work with. And we don't know what all is appealing to folks. We don't know what all works within what your aims are. I know I talked with Michelle, who said that the foundation that she's working with is looking to do things within mental health. And this fits right with what we're talking about. Things with United Way and with heading home, all the housing issues that go with these things. There are so many pieces. And I know IU has been doing some things. IU Health has been doing new things. So we want to be having the conversation where we can pull people together and get this figured out and to get it started. We would love, ideally, to have this start January 1. That's our goal. We don't know if we can hit that, but that's what we would like to see happen. Yeah. Sorry, Isabella. Then let's. If you want to go up to one of the mics too to speak, please do. It's not okay. And introduce yourself, please, in case people don't know you.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. Michelle Gilchrist with Bloomington Health Foundation. I think we have the same question. How much are you thinking, or has there been a dollar value in terms of what it would take for the community partners to come alongside this kind of initiative? Do you know what that is?
I wish Mr. Whitaker were here, because I think it partly depends upon the size of the community and the size of the population that they're working with in a given facility. I think for here, they were talking about at least 2 peers full-time within the jail, is my understanding. I don't know if that's correct. Please correct me. And then it will take a number of individuals outside the community who are going to be these peer counselors. And that's the biggest cost at this point, as I understand it, is the staffing. It's my understanding that we would have to come up with $200,000 to $250,000 probably. And we could do that if we could through a combination of government and nonprofit and even private monies.
And you need to come up with that before January 1st.
I don't know that we need to. I think we would have to have it pledged. I don't think we have to have it all in the bank, because the expenses won't occur right up front. So
thank you.
I hope I'm not overstating. I don't want. Were there other questions? Okay. Yes, Councilmember Wills.
Thanks. A list here, but that brought in a question. 2 minutes ago, I heard that counselors could be funded by the grant, and now you're saying obviously community first or matching funds, I guess.
This okay. The question is, what would this matching grant pay for in essence if the That's where I need Mr. Whitaker. I'm sorry. I don't have all that information. I don't know a lot more than what I've shared with you all. That's why he's just so critical to all this. So I'm making note of that. Okay. So no. Yeah.
The clinical mental health, including psychiatry and, that can be in jail to support adding this so that we've got, it's not like, they support functional health and behavioral health, but there's that clinical aspect that we really want to make sure is that.
We really need you at the mic, I think, because people are watching virtually. I'm sorry. It's hard to, because I think that's a really critical question. Yeah. So Commander Gibbons.
She asked if our current social workers in their current state could facilitate that and work with that. Is that with the IRACS program? And the answer is yes. And not in the way that it might not seem. The IRACS program offers its own program. But what that does, it allows our social workers to initiate the programs that they've been trying to. As it stands now, our social workers come in daily. They spend the first part of the morning, depending on the night we've had. We typically, in a 48-hour basis, we have about 20 bookings and 20 releases, usually. So as a new person comes in, everyone must be evaluated, whether it's just for medical or just for mental or for both. We have our nursing staff involved with that evaluation. We created a new room for that evaluation. And what happens is they're charting that from the very beginning and putting these people in places that they're going to be best suited. Some people can go to general population where they can just be out. Some people request not to go to general population. Some people come into jail, they made one mistake in their whole life and they do not want to be exposed to that situation. They got to be housed differently. They've got to be talked to differently and treated differently. And our social workers can follow that through. With this program, this allows them to really focus on those aspects, the people that don't need to be in the program, but still need that help. And as of now, we're really just with two social workers. They're continuously moving from thing to thing to thing. And sometimes they don't have time to get back to do what they want to do or what they should do. Part of why we created J Block with our mental health dorm was so that we could get them in there and they can start working through things rather than just putting them in these people in a position to be successful. We're actually helping them through it. And sometimes we have time for that and sometimes we don't. This program will open them up to be doing a lot more of that. That's to get to your question. We're really looking to free those people up so they can deal with the people that either don't want to take part in the program or don't need the program. They just need something else. And our social workers will catch that through our ACH contract.
And the IRACS program is completely voluntary. It's not that it's being forced on anybody at all.
Every program we have is voluntary as well.
Yes. That's, I mean, I want this kind of discussion. No.
I'm not entirely sure who may or may not know the answer to this, but I'm wondering from your conversations with Mr. Whitaker, how this program, not thinking about how it's funded or managed, but how the services aspect of it differs from what New Leaf, New Life offers and has offered to provide. Just trying to balance that, the things we've heard from local providers and the intriguing options that this provides. Does that make sense?
So it's my understanding that the IRACs could actually use New Leaf, New Life as one of the service providers that they would be looking to. So it would be complementary with what would be happening. I don't know if you have a different perspective.
Yeah, I think to her question there, I think what this does, it provides a uniform approach to all of those services. And I think the question that we heard earlier was, how's this going to form in with your other programs? I think we're just going to have to take a systematic approach to it, because I think what we'll do is IRACs will come in and we'll see what that encompasses. And if that program encompasses something that we currently have, we can, and it'll fill that void, we can shuffle that one off, and we'll just get to the point of, okay, are we doing what we're doing? Are we doing it successfully? And we'll keep that is not covered by IRACs, and we'll eliminate what is not. But I want to address your question about the cost. I got to be honest with you. When our conversations with Mr. Whitaker, I mean, obviously ours have been more operational in scope, as opposed to, I know that, there have been other conversations, but it was our understanding that the grant did handle those, the counselors. So maybe I'm wrong on that, because like I said, we've been focused on the operational side of it. Maybe should have paid a little attention or asked a few more questions, but I would do wish Jamie was here to handle this.
We did look at that,
because we were concerned about that,
a lot of what we've done so far.
You have to speak into the microphone. Sorry.
A lot of what we've tried to do as we came in was to not incur more cost. In fact, we were diligently to be cost effective for obvious reasons. So that was one of the very first questions we asked. One was, what happens after it initially comes in, then who? Because we've got a lot of things going on in this community, obviously. But also, we were wondering where these people come from. And these peers will come from this community. He'll go out, the program will go into this community. And if they're from New Life, New Leaf, or if they're from Centerstone, or if they're from any other service, they bring those people in, and they're vetted. They go through an extensive training that they have to go through to really understand how this program works. From my understanding, that comes at no cost to this community and to Monroe County. But then again, we've not had, this is the formative stages of this whole process. But that is something that we asked initially, and he kind of quelled those concerns for us. The
first ones were $500,000, but it's not clear that the subsequent ones will be. And again, part of it depends upon the size of the community that needs to receive the assistance. Marion County is going to look a lot different than Union County or Clark County even. Yeah.
Very Clark.
Yeah.
Look at that.
They're looking at Clark County now. Yeah. So I thank you all. I apologize. I hope that Mr. Whitaker is not in some kind of trouble at this point. I hope there's not an automobile accident or something like that, because he had said he would try to call. But we will, if we learn additional things through the other meetings that we think are important, I'll try to make notes and send those out to you. I'll try to answer some of these questions, get Mr. Whitaker to answer some of the questions. He will have a slideshow, and I'll try to make sure that that's sent out, or at least a link to it on where we have it stored, so you can access it as well. We would really like to see this go in our community. So I appreciate the fact that everybody's here. You've been really patient as well. And just huge thanks to Mr. Parker and to Mr. Gibbons for really pitching in here. I think it's important that they hear from the folks that in our law enforcement who will be part of this, because you are going to have to be big partners to make this work.
We filled the empty space today.
Maybe.
Yeah. We create more questions.